Okay, I'm probably going to keep saying this, but I'm totally flying by the seat of my pants. So this is a very rough draft videos, but hopefully it gets us going somewhere. This is the development consultant job description video. I'm going to stay in this workflow tab and bounce around all kinds of different screens to explain the kind of what I'm expecting here. So um, first, at the attend handoff meeting, obviously, one part of your job description is to attend it. You'll hear about that meeting from the general manager or VP, or at this time, me. I'll basically what I'll do is I'll email the project notification form, which will look like. Hold on one second. Notification form is going to look like process. Oh, process. That's where that one I was looking for. Agenda. Notification form. So it'll look like this. It'll have the job number, all kind of the information about the job. It'll have um, any stakeholders that are involved, the client, who they are, what our future is with them. Super detailed kind of layout of who they are, and then we'll just review all of this together, set up action items at the end, which I can explain in the project transfer form what that is. And you'll review all those requirements. That should have just about all the information about the job that you need. You'll attend that meeting. The next step is going to be sorry. The next step is going to be reviewing the job, doing some due diligence. It's going to be making initial contact with the client. I do expect as the development consultants, you can see nowhere in this column am I dealing with clients. Obviously, I am going to be dealing with clients a little bit, but I would like you guys to kind of take the bull by the horns, track your billable hours, so I can in a different video explain the billable hours and how that all works again, so everyone's on the same page there. But in any case, track your billable hours and kind of almost befriend these people. Treat them like clients, talk to them on the phone, treat them like people, get a relationship going with them. It's very possible that we get referrals and more work through each one of these clients that we work for, so we want to treat each one of them like that's going to be the case. So definitely stay in contact with them. Communication is going to be a huge selling point, especially to what we do, because every single time that we're working on any of these jobs, people don't really understand what we're doing, and they just want to hear from us and know something is happening. In a lot of cases, they're not really going to understand all the ins and outs of what exactly that is that we're doing, and that doesn't matter. They just want to hear that something's happening. We do not want to get super detailed with these people and bore them to death. That's the thing that people hate the most about engineers and architects and people like that, is they get into the details about, well, your zoning is R6, which is 6,000. Like, they don't want to know some of that stuff, but start out giving them the sky view and just be like, here's the overview. We did this, we're doing this, and we're going to do this next. That's all they really want to know. Almost every single client we work for, unless their personality type is different. But always start out with the sky view of just, here's what we did, here's what we're doing, and here's what we're going to do next. And that's all they're really going to care to know, because they just want to know that something is happening. So keep that in mind. Keep communication open. Keep communication quick and good. That's going to be our biggest selling point. So in terms of job description, I definitely want to mention that. You'll make an initial contact and then start working on the project. Now, there's several different projects. Trying to think of where the best place to go to talk about the different kind of projects. Maybe I'll just kind of go to not that one. Sorry, I'm on a different sheet on the other screen. Probably this one. So there's all kinds of different stuff that we do, obviously, and this is kind of a sort of an overview and not a deep dive at all. I'll do that in another video. But I want to mention one thing for sure: the existing conditions report, due diligence report, and the existing conditions and site plan report. Um, at this time, I think I've talked to the people that matter, but I think Nathan is going to be doing all of these reports. So specifically for you, Nathan, but eventually development consultants will get these reports and do them. Um, these reports are lump sum. It's one price. I'll talk about all the stuff more in detail, but this is the eye candy sell that we have to get people in. So it's cheap, fast type reports. We throw them together as fast as we can. The only thing that's going to be expected from you and involved here is make sure that your turnaround is the days promised. So, like the existing condition report, I think is like a 2 or 3 day turnaround. The existing conditions and site plans like a 4 day turnaround. This is like a 5 or 6 day turnaround. And so, just make sure that we stay on those times, so we're not promising something we're not doing. And if we need to change those dates, those timelines later, we can, but I don't really want to. Um, and I'm not going to get into what all this is, but basically the development consultant, once he receives the job, like if the salesman sells a job, signs it, and collects the down payment, we'll get paid before we do any of these reports. Um, once the sales guy gets it, it's literally just on you to compile the report, complete the report, send it to me to review, and then once it's reviewed, send it off to the client. And once they say, yeah, that's what I want, I don't want any revisions, then you get your final acceptance signed, and you move on to the next one. And so there's none on those projects, there's none of this updating them weekly, tracking billable hours, stuff like that. You'll literally just make um, one entry into the time tracking sheet that says, actually, I think I did one, provided due diligence report, like that. You'll just put in all the information, who it was, who the salesman was. Just simply state, I did this kind of report. Throw in the labor amount, the total price for whatever date you completed it in labor, and then that'll calculate out the amount over there that you get for that report. So they should be super quick turnarounds, and I'll go into more detail on those in another video. So that's that one. For the development consultants, another thing, billable hours, probably the most important part of your guys' job, because the business doesn't get paid and the sales guy doesn't get paid unless this report is filled out. And I'm going to talk about this report on a whole nother video. But big thing that's your guys' job is doing entries, multiple entries, not just, one entry for the whole week, but I'm looking for like, think about it. It's our validation that we did something we deserve to be paid to these people. So, obviously I'm not asking for timesheets. I'm not asking you guys to clock in at 8 a.m. and clock out at 5 p.m. But what I am asking is that this sheet gets filled out every single time. So if there's multiple entries, I'm going to be filling out this sheet as I do things. The billing people are going to fill out this sheet as we submit payments. So like Stein 90th report that Joshua did, we sent out for that final payment, but then we have not got paid for that final payment, right? So we'll set it up when we invoice for it, and then we'll put in the date when it gets paid. And so this really, and again, I'm going to go into this much more in detail, but this needs to be filled out. I can't stress it enough. If this isn't filled out, if it's not accurate, if it doesn't make sense, if the clients don't like it, it's a big deal. So this needs, every time you guys go to work, you should open up a browser and have, and literally have this sheet open. Like these two files should be open the whole time you're working. Really, like you're going to be referencing this stuff. Like I don't care if you and use this filter system. Filter it by your name, so you only see your entries and make new entries. Filter it by whatever job you're working on. Filter it by however you want to filter. There's a billion different ways to filter it. To make it more usable, because eventually this thing's going to be way down here. We're going to have so many entries. And it's going to be this giant file that really says everything that we've ever done. So that's a big, big, big deal. Another part of the development consultant's job is going to be keeping this up to date during the weekly emails or weekly meetings. This is the sheet that you will all the development consultants will present to the general manager, explaining the status of where we're at. So basically, in the meetings, so I guess I could go back to the business process to go along. So you're going to be tracking your billable hours, and then you're going to be updating the workflow during the project and having a weekly meeting. So when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about this sheet again needs filled out all the way, all the addresses filled out, the company name if there is one, the salesperson, manager, all this stuff down here all should be filled out all the time. And then during our meetings, basically what you'll do is you'll take and you'll say, who am I? I'm a manager, and I am whoever. I'm Joshua, and we'll review the projects that he's involved in, him and I, and we'll go over those things that he's involved in, or whoever you are. You'll filter it that way, and that way we're not looking at the whole sheet. We're looking at your stuff, and you'll present this and you'll have it up to date, so that we're not so I'm not going, wait, isn't it there that one job that you're working on that's not written down here? You'll be updating that. And so one thing I should clarify here when I'm talking about job description is when I'm talking about me setting up projects and job files, I'm talking about in this file, I'm writing down just a little bit about it. I'm basically assigning a job number. I'm writing a little bit about it, whatever the type is, and I'm assigning the sales manager, right? And then, you all know whoever you are. And then you're expected to fill in the rest of it. And this will be kind of your Bible, really. This will be where you go to be like, man, what job did I have again? Wasn't there something I'm forgetting? You'll go here to figure that out. And you'll look at this constantly. You'll change the numbers here. You'll, change the statuses. This is, so basically like here's an example. We'll go to the manager, say we'll go to Joshua again. And then you'll come over and then we'll just filter for stuff that's, currently in progress, or, we're not going to be looking at cancel, so we're just going to be looking at in progress stuff. Okay. And so that's kind of how we'll be reviewing this stuff. And then make sure just whenever you're out of this, you unfilter it. So when the next person gets in, it's not all screwed up from you. But you'll definitely want to kind of keep this sucker open all of the time and keep it updated. And I think, keep it updated. The next thing, update workflow. So then part of your job is getting the final acceptance signed. The final acceptance, I'll have a whole video on that as well. But that looks like this. And you'll fill out this form and get it signed by the owners. So that'll be following the development consultants. Once you're done, you'll gather all the drawings you did, all the reports you did, the final acceptance, everything that got signed, yada yada yada. You'll make sure that all that's in the job folder, really, and then email the services at Admore Consulting email and say, hey, this job's done. It's signed. Final acceptance is signed. It's done. So that'll be part of your guys' job. You'll update the workflow weekly. So on Wednesdays, that's when the bills get sent out and the updates get sent out, are all going to be sent out on Wednesdays. And so I'm going to have a form in here that I'll show you where it is and what it is in another video. Basically, it will be an update on every project. So every single week, you'll come in and you'll say, who am I? Preferably not preferably, it has to be Tuesday night before Wednesday morning, so they have time to work on it. And I don't need an updated on projects that are being billed or closed or canceled or completed or whatever. But anything in progress, I'll want a update on the update form for each one of these projects, and I'll want the time tracking form filled out by Tuesday night each week, so that basically this is protecting you guys and us. So if this is filled out by Tuesday every single week, you know, the billing person is not going to know if something should be there that's not there. And I'll probably have an email go out on Tuesdays to remind everyone to fill this out every Tuesday. But if it's not filled out, like that's a huge bummer because we're sending this out to the clients. We're literally like, this is what's going to happen. We're going to filter it for whatever job. And if this is what happened, we're going to print this as a PDF, this whole section from the space this way. And this is going to get put in there in the PDF, and it's going to be sent to the client along with your update. And this is going to be, so basically an invoice will be sent out, this will be sent out, and your update will be sent out. What that'll do is it will update the client. It will show them what we did and how much we're billing them, and then we'll say, and here's the invoice, please pay us. And so that will be sent out every single week. And so if your entries are not in there, then that is a huge bummer, because now not only is the company not getting paid, but you're not getting paid because your entry wasn't in there, and we don't know to pay you. And then I'll talk about the sheet more in depth, of course. So that's again, can't stress enough, huge thing. And then of course, this, whatever work is involved, is your responsibility. So whether it's a lot line adjustment, talking to the city, and dealing with subs or finding someone to hire, if we have to get a land surveyor, doing due diligence, talking to these people, managing this, keeping this thing going, that is all under your job description. Whenever you have questions, you'll ask these guys, in this case me, but everything, once the job's going, falls under you. So nothing's getting done unless you're doing it, and while you're doing it, you're tracking it in the entry log, so that we can bill it and so that you can get paid for it. And then again, keep in mind the billable hours. Like when we walk this thing, or whatever. Me and Joshua just the other day walked this project. We were only there for 45 minutes, but we drove there. We had to prep for the meeting. We did stuff after the meeting. We stuck around. So the billable hours is going to be for two guys, 3.5 hours. Is $60 an hour. Now that 3.5 hours, you're gonna charge for my time, but I'm not going to get paid my time. You're going to get paid my time if there's two guys there and one of them is me. So we might even do 3.5 hours should be fine. And so that's, there wasn't actually 3.5 hours worked necessarily, but that's what we're billing for. So this is their bill, and this is what that guy gets paid to walk that job for that hour or whatever. And so obviously the idea is having tons of these going on. And I think that we'll probably do it now for the development consultant job description. If you have any questions or if there's anything left out, let me know. Obviously, this is a work in progress, so that's where we're at.